welcome everybody to the Onward VR Master League Season 11 Week 9 matchup. I believe I had the week wrong now that I think about it. My name is NightFiree. I'm joined by my co-caster James Boak. You might not see that now, but let me get our friendly faces on there. Forgot to even put us up there. We're just ghosts, James, to the win. How are you doing today, James?
I am well. Ready for quite an exciting matchup of teams I haven't really seen too much of, so really looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is two new teams to the league that have been playing very good this season, and we just tuned in to STR1VE-GAMING the other day, me and Theta, and it was a fantastic matchup, but truly a surprise matchup to myself, simply because we hadn't watched Strive play at all, and they went up against, I think it was Blaze, if I'm not mistaken, and had a very good game. They went up against players that have been around in this league for a good time, and ended up coming out with a clean I think it was a 2-1 map.
It was an 8-7 win, 2 map to 1.
Yeah, 2-1 map victory. They ended up losing that last map pretty severely, but the first map severely, but a great 2-map win regardless from them. And now they go up against Unity on their climb up to that top 10, James. And I mean, they're pretty close. I don't know. They may break into the top 10 with a W here.
Close. They're playing against a team which is ranked a little bit lower, so the MMR boost will be a little bit less. But they'll certainly be right on that brink, and this may give them the diamond badge they're looking for.
Yeah, and then, it's going to be even more exciting to see what their matchup is going to be next week, because that'll be truly a test of their skill when they go up against a team that is most likely in the top 10. Maybe they'll go, I guess, a lower tier. Who knows how the matchmaking will end up divvying them their matchups. But excited to see what they're going to bring up against Unity. And Unity, similarly a somewhat new team. They have some old, I wouldn't say old, some veteran players. They've been around since Season 7. But also some new faces that have just come in for Season 11. Some returning players, like I said, that haven't played in the league since Season 7. And so I don't really know what to expect out of Unity today, James. It's going to be a little bit of a toss-up, really, for at least us on the caster desk. I really don't know what to expect. I anticipate it to be a pretty good back and forth. I mean, we're looking at ranks 14 versus rank 17, so it's a top 20 matchup. And, the top 20 this season has been pretty wild.
Yeah, there's not too many direct results you can compare based upon previous matchups, but the ones which you can, this match is going to be a close one, I think. Going to have some good fights.
Yeah.
Certainly, it looks like Unity might prefer more of those medium long-range maps, so it'll be good to see some of that, and then Strive on the shorter range maps, bring it down.
Yeah, and we can get a little more information in terms of where we're going to be headed and what kind of action we're going to see today by looking at the picked bans coming through from the squad. STR1VE-GAMING banning Sand. Unity banning Downfall. Your thoughts on these bans, James?
I think they're probably a personal weakness ban rather than a other team's strength ban. So STR1VE-GAMING have played Sand 4 times and they've never won it, with only a round win rate of 23% as well. So that's quite low. So I can understand why they might be wanting to ban that. And then Unity with the Downfall ban, they've played it twice and again never won it with a round win rate of 27%. So yeah, I think more banning what they're weak on rather than what the other team's strong on, because if you looked at the other team's strength, you might want to ban a map like, say, Suburbia against Strive, because Strive have played Suburbia 6 times and won it 6 times, so it's a big strength for them. And then going the other way, unfortunately, Bazaar is not in the map pool for Unity, because they played it 4 times, won it 4 times. However, Quarantine is. They played it 3 times, won it 3 times. Might be seeing that map come out, map 2.
Yeah, and we tend to look at the data that we've collected over the course of seasons, really, and in this case, there's not necessarily a deep well to look at, and so it does certainly provide us a good insight into what we should expect, but maybe not a guarantee at this point, simply because it's still early in development for some of these teams, and some teams can make mistakes. Map 1, though, I mean, just as you mentioned it, James, is going to be Suburbia. STR1VE-GAMING 6 for 6 on this map, and it's no surprise that they go here for the start of this series. They want to go someplace comfortable. It wasn't banned by the likes of Unity, to your point. They chose to ban their weakness. Curious what we're going to see here on Suburbia today. I think Strive are really going to bring pretty, I would say, aggressive coordination. When we were watching them yesterday, I think it just feels like yesterday. It was only a couple of days ago. It was on the weekend. They were playing very coordinated, in sync, great comms, and not slow. They were not afraid to apply the pressure on the close quarters, out-aggressing Blaze in some scenarios. Not what you would expect. So, curious to see what they can bring against Unity. We're still waiting for Unity to get their full roster in lobby. Hopefully, there isn't any technical issues there, but we might have to cut to a brief intermission. James, your thoughts before we do? Suburbia should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through the thoughts, because Strive really liking Suburbia, but then not liking Sand, or really doing well in Suburbia but not Sand. So
Yeah, right.
maybe it is more of that. Suburbia has more of that sort of methodical clearing approach where you can work. There's not as many surprise sort of elements to it. So maybe that will reflect in a more methodical approach. Main thing is I'm excited because I haven't seen either of these teams play. I didn't manage to watch your cast the other day. So for me, it's going to be all new, all exciting, and I'll be riding along with all the viewers.
Yeah, and I mean, heck, you're not the only one that's excited to see. There's a good bit of hype votes around it, and you're not the only one that hasn't seen them play. I mean, again, Strive, the first cast of their season was yesterday, and so they've sort of sneakily climbed up this ladder without anyone really noticing, and as they have now started to garner some attention by getting some W's and pushing into the top 20, I think more eyes are starting to get directed at them. So again, going to be curious to see what Strive bring to the table. We are still, of course, waiting for Unity to bring in their final two. Hopefully, again, there's no tech issues. We don't have to hit a pause for too long. We will cut to a brief intermission, though, and when we come back, it'll be Suburbia Map 1, Strive versus Unity. Don't go anywhere. The action will begin when we return.
VRware. Our passion is for the
Welcome back, everybody. Not too far after the initial countdown timer there, we are into the action for round number 1 of Map 1 STR1VE-GAMING versus Unity, and a bit of an awkward kickoff for the Unity squad. Not so unified here at the start, James. They don't have their 5th in lobby yet, and there was a new update pushed out. We are not playing on that new update. We are on the update previous to that. We are on what is called the Season 11 build, and it is... maybe that's what's caused some bit of tech issues. We did our darndest, James.
Yeah.
We pinged the teams. We made sure to let them know well in advance, but, you know, planning this stuff can be tough.
And this is not something you really want on Unity's side. They're going up a team which is renowned with their suburbia performance.
Yeah.
And defending with 4 on an objective which is not super defensible. Certainly has some weaknesses. In saying that, only Ike has only been downed in that confrontation. He pushed out, and we now have a 3.5 V4, evening up a little bit.
Just the touch. Gonna be tough to get the res considering that body's dead in that main entry to the gate. Ooh, a nice nade hits Nova there up and over. There's a follow-up nade right on to Steely. That goes just a bit far, but Lon hits his shots, and on objective
Skylar is
defense.
going for that res. So we still have 2 more players down on Unity's side. It's whether Skylar and only Ike can get back into position before getting picked off. It's going to be a hard cross.
Yeah, the on-objective defense getting picked apart. Now it leads us with the final 2 to hold down what is the focused entry from Strive. There's 3 here thinking about going through, and a flash is going to come in, so Skillio is going to go for maybe a counter push, or at the very least a peek. Now he has control of the angle, and here comes the push. It's a little bit late. They almost go for each other. Skillio goes back for more, returns to the scene of the crime to find Bizachu. A good pickup there. Trying
Now
to
these
even
down
the
players
odds,
will
but
be able to make some call outs, so they might be able to see Toxic crossing or attempting to cross in lane 4, which is going to help the rest of the defense out quite a lot. Some very aggressive peaks going on in lane 1 though.
yeah, Toxic trying to go for the confirm there. He gets shot at by the likes of Ike. Crimson thinking about peeking out and pushing in. There's the confirm from Lonwick, and here comes the full push. Crimson and Toxic both swinging out. Ike actually decides to take the back route, and now it's a 2v2, and Toxic doesn't have eyes on Ike. He does clear out one, and Crimson deals with the rest. Great
Ooh.
coordination from Strive to come out with a early round 1 win.
That was a close one.
Yeah.
If Skylar had gotten the pick on who was he facing off against, Crimson there, I feel like Nova was calling out the cross from Toxic, and only Ike would have been ready for it. So it just came down to, you know, one kill going the wrong way, and the result goes to Strive.
Yeah, I am
Or
getting
the right way, depending on who you're supporting, obviously. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm getting word that Unity is calling a timeout here, trying to buy all the time legally that they can. After the match time was designated for 5, they had 15 minutes to get their team in the lobby. And so once we hit that 15-minute mark, we started this last round. Then, after that round, the team is allowed to use a timeout, and so Unity has used their timeout. After this, if they do not have a 5th, we continue to play 5v4, so I think they have roughly 10 minutes, because a tech timeout, technically, to bring in...
I think the first timeout's 15?
15.
Seconds, 10.
To bring in their... And so hopefully they'll have that odd evened up just a bit, because if they had that 5th, certainly could have done something for them. It could have potentially evened out that defensive lineup just a little bit. They would have had much better control of that far east lane if they had had somebody there to cover it.
Yeah, it's normally where you put your extra, isn't it? Somewhere out on that east, covering lane 3, lane 4. Could have made all the difference.
Certainly could have. We are going to take another break. And like I said, after this, we will be back, and there won't be many more. I think they have a second timeout, to James' point, so they could, if needed, take another timeout to buy time after this round, but we'll see. Hopefully, again, that 5th gets in, and they can have a full force of a Unity roster, because, again, they are not unified right now. They're going up against Strive Gaming 4v5, and it's not going to be easy. We'll see how they do it when round 2 kicks off. Don't go anywhere.
STR1VE. Our passion is for the future.
Welcome back, everybody. We are into the game, and we are in to a 5v5. Only one round ends up going with a disadvantaged Unity, and now we're back to even square one. And well, Unity are going to try and make it a square one, James. They're going to try and even this thing up one apiece, but they've already forfeited their their defensive round and now have to go on the offensive to try and snag it.
It's going to be a hard one to attack too against the 5-up defense. I think it'll come down to the first couple of picks, where they go, whether it weakens the defense or whether it weakens the attack.
Texan Boy coming in on the roster for Unity. He's the 5th now and putting out some suppressive fire downrange towards that objective and through the shrubs just to put out any deterrence to any folks trying to come in through that center. And a bit of a contrast to the STR1VE Gaming offense. Unity has stacked a bit heavier over to the east and have pushed up pretty far forward already. Only Ike, Stelius, and Noah, they have control of this east house. Just a matter of now moving out and clearing what is a couple of defensive positions, and you can see only Ike's trying to do just that. He's looking at all of these different spots. He's checking red car, checking over the concrete barrier, checking that back corner where Toxic is just about to peek, and that's the nature of Onward. As you drop one angle, the enemy peeks it. Toxic ends up swinging out, finds himself a nice kill. Here comes a flash up and over, almost perfectly in sync with the kill from Lon Wick. Stelius is also blind, and so any forward aggression he was going to apply gets shut down for a couple of seconds. And now Unity is pretty quickly put into a tough spot, a 5v3. And with an accurate kill count for STR1VE, I would anticipate maybe some aggression to come through soon.
Yeah, you see this quite a lot. You see defenses with 5-up getting a couple of picks, then getting aggressive. It can pay off, and in this case, Toxic it has paid off in lane 4. But also it can result in losing a couple of defenders, which sometimes it's better to just hold your positions. Your defense has worked really well so far. Now that I say this, Toxic's going to go on a rampage and kill them all from behind, and he is indeed doing that. But it could have gone the other way. If Toxic had gotten picked straight away as he pushed through, then that would have been a four man on defense against 3 on attack. You know, things can swing. But it looks like it hasn't swung, and now Skylar has a lot of work to do, to say the least.
Yeah, and I mean, STR1VE really picking apart this Unity team right now, and Unity's got a bit of work to do, right? They're coming in a bit discombobulated. They've had that first round, they've had to play that first round 4v5. That's already a little bit disorienting because you have to change your strats and how you play. Then they have their 5th return and have to then again change the strats and how they play, and ultimately a couple of kills come through, somebody gets out of sync, and now it's all up to Skyla in a 1v5. Has to try and peek out towards objective to a well-defended OBJ, but is making the right choices for now.
Giving away position is hard. Good push through.
Perfect.
Great double pick. Great double pick. No reaction from the defense onto it. Toxic hopefully is going to rotate in from behind, but Skylar has then moved on.
Yeah. And you should hear these footsteps from Toxic.
He's going to hear this. Oh, didn't hear it.
Wow. Very quick swing there from him, and yeah, he was just crouched down a little bit. Almost a comeback, a great double kill to get them somewhat back into that round, but ultimately not enough to lock in the points. 2-0 lead now for STR1VE on their map pick, and I think that's something important to remind ourselves, James. This is STR1VE's map pick. They are the most comfortable here. 6-0 on this map so far in this season. They're on a 5-game win streak. There's a lot of momentum on their side right now, and Unity are certainly battling an uphill battle for now. Like I said, if they can regroup right here and get a defensive round, that's gonna change things. That's gonna stop what is a potentially runaway train right now for STR1VE Gaming.
Actually not one of the objectives you necessarily want to be defending when the other team has 2 points. You see a lot of caps on this objective. It's the burning house one. And Yeah, they just need to stop that cap. Even if they lose 1 point here, you can come back from 3-0 down. You obviously can't come back from 4. So big defense needs to come out from Unity here. Be interesting to see whether Strive go with their more methodical approach, which they did on the first round, or whether we see that classic smoke and heavy push through playground to really force that cap.
Yeah, I'm almost more anticipating that as the outcome. With how coordinated the Strive team is, I anticipate them to come in and have a pretty nice smoke layer around objective. Because to your point, they are going to want to go for a cap here. They've got this 2-0 lead. There's a lot of advantages of getting this cap, of trying to avoid, not necessarily avoid getting the kills, but trying to avoid killing the whole team to get these 2 points. Momentum being the main element. If they go up 4-0, it's puts them in such a great spot. I think, trying to remember in the series against Blaze if they went 4-0 on their first map as well. I think they might have come back from a 4-0. So I don't know. We'll see, how this map ends up shaking out. There's still obviously plenty of round to play, and yeah, if Unity can get out, even to your point, if they can at least avoid a cap and still lose, it'll be 3-0. They've got another round on their belt. So yeah, a tight defense around OBJ is definitely warranted from Unity. We'll see if it's what they end up executing, or if they decide to go for a bit more spread, try and go for those picks over on the west side, try and hunt for some early kills for an advantage, which is what we do see from time to time. But I mean, Strive have the golden spawn. They can sprint straight to objective with smokes, go for the cap. Very curious to see how they execute this.
We're going to see some pre-fire here down that lane. Could see some early kills. No, we're not.
They certainly would have done a lot, though.
It looks like Unity are very aware of this cap potential. They are quite close to the objective on their spacing. So hopefully we'll react if that smoke-covered cap does come out. Because yeah, as you're saying, even if Strive get to 3 points here, Unity, if they just get a cap back, that's 2-3, and then you got a defensive round where defense generally is a bit easier. That brings it back to 3-all. One round at a time is the key.
Yeah, suppressive fire coming in from that west side, and to my point, Unity definitely not peeking out for any picks on the west. To your point, James, they are very cognizant of that defense that they need to be holding, and I like it. It's very tight around OBJ, certainly vulnerable to some well-placed nades, but I don't know if Strive are going to be thinking nades, and I think that's what Unity is thinking, right? All the mind games. Is Strive going to bring nades here? No, they're probably going to bring smokes because they're going to want to get the cap. Okay, well, then let's stack objective with 5 because we're not going to be vulnerable to a well-placed nade. It's, a lot of mind games that has to go into that minute and a half between rounds when you know where the objective is.
So many variables. But yeah, again, Strive have just got that spread out approach. They're in a line. If you can pretty much draw a straight line across the map, they're covering each other. I like this style of attack personally. I prefer this style of attack, but also that really push aggressive attack can work really well in this objective, and we'll just see what comes out on top. This defense setup I'm also quite liking. All looking out and supporting each other from a core rather than having a spread out defense with covering lines across. And it's paying off for them so far. 2 picks right there.
Yeah, a really good job holding very disciplined angles coming in from them. Definitely getting the outcome they're looking for with a very stacked defense. To your point, everyone covering the opposite angles. It makes it very hard for this Strive Gaming team to cross and get set up. And really the coordination just not coming through for Strive, making it hard for this Marsoc offense to break through what is a nice turtle shell around objective.
I like what Toxic Boss did there. He put a smoke onto objective, which has now forced Texan to be a lot more exposed. You see the players now moving a lot more and exposing a lot more. Ooh, no, team kill coming out. Unfortunate. would like to see a bit more of that smoke on objective to
Yeah.
force that movement, and then have the attackers, really capitalize off that. Big pick. Still 5 up on defense. Only one attacker remaining. A lot. And, yeah. Beautiful defense.
That's I mean, perfect, right? Exactly what they needed to do to bounce back. Strive really had some good momentum going there with those first 2 rounds. Granted, they were, you could say, gifted the first one. It was pretty close for a 5v4. The second round looked great, but here Unity all 5 alive on defense. You just can't do it a better job of shutting down the momentum than that there. And now they go on an offense again to an objective that is cappable. If you're Unity, are you thinking cap, James? I don't know.
I would be. I think you've got to come back. They've gotten. Well, they need to get the 1 point. They need to get the 1 point. Ideally, they've seen just there that the methodical approach hasn't worked very well for that objective. They've defended it successfully with 5 up. So they might be thinking, hey, let's chuck all those smokes on it and push for that really aggressive attack. Whether you actually chuck the smokes and actually go for it, or you chuck the smokes and use them to force rotations out of the defense,
right?
Not sure. I expect the Strive Gaming defense to be a bit more spread out than Unity, just based upon their previous defense. And with that later, if they do get a pick, I expect to see them rotating their defensive into a more aggressive flanking run through that picked zone. That'll be my predictions. We'll see what happens during the round. Obviously, they'll probably do exactly the opposite. Have 5 men standing on objective, and Unity's attack will be spread out across the board. Seems to go that way. We're getting into it though.
Yes,
One way to
indeed.
find out.
We are hopping into the action.
Oop,
a bit of a false start there. Maybe some tech issues from the Unity end. Not everyone loading in necessarily, but we are going to be diving in.
What's your prediction for this round? How do you think it's going to be approached from both teams?
Yeah, I really don't know. Yeah, I think we're still early in our series. If we were maybe into the second or third map, I could give you a better idea of the Unity mindset. But I still think Unity's gathering themselves, if anything, warming up. I know that they have all 5 alive, and you see what happens when they do sort of connect and warm up. That last round going very well for them, and so I don't know. If I was Strive, I'd be definitely locked in here. I think maybe Strive getting a little overconfident as well with those 2 wins early on in this series. So again, we'll see what these teams end up doing, how they end up executing it. Round 3 kicks off, and Texan already getting a little bit of aggressive with some early peaks. Ferrer in particular goes for a very aggressive push-up and goes undetected.
A lot more pushed out defense. They're looking for control of middle house, which is good to have in general, but maybe not for this objective. And then their on-objective defense is a little bit weak.
Yeah.
If you get a pick on Ferrer, that objective is quite open to a cap, because you can cap from behind these sandbags here, and not really covered. Toxic now moving to position, which can cover it. The amount of time it will take for Crimson and Bizachu to react, and also for Lon Wick, the cap could already be gone, especially if there's smoke cover.
It's going to be very important for Ferrer and his FAMAS to do some damage here. He's got a good angle down to Texan. He's got a good angle to Steely if he crosses, and Steely is hunting for this pick. He's trying to just sort of quick check as deep as he can into this corner, and he's, to his knowledge, cleared it out. Ferrer is deeply tucked into this corner where Steely just won't be able to ID it unless he takes some shots through the shrubs, and I don't think he wants to make his position known yet.
I hope Ferrer is breathing shallowly right now. Nova should be able to, if Ferrer does kill Steeliest, Nova should be able to react to it, or only Ike as well. And Ferrer will have a hard time rotating back out of that location.
Chaos across the map. Texan finds one in center house. Lon finds the refrag. Down goes one from Ferrer in the FAMAS, and Toxic getting aggressive on his rotations. A bit over aggressive, exposed to the likes of only Ike for a brief moment in time there. Tucks back in, and Strive are up 4-3, but information gained there if Unity's paying attention. They now know that one is here in Playground, albeit they don't know where. See smokes coming in to maybe deny some vision, but it's not going to do much. And they have control of that west side.
Ooh, big pick on the objective. If they do take Farah out, which they have with the trade, the objective is now open. The defense does need to rotate. With the attacker in lane 1 looking across the map, their rotation options are limited.
Yeah, and you can see Crimson recognizes the weakness, drops off of that west side, and if he swings around here, he's going to go down
Should get
to
picked.
Skillia. Yes, he does. Just like that, strives into a 1v2.
The only problem here is only Ike does not know that Nova is traded with Farah, so he's going to take his time clearing that out. As soon as he spots that body, he should realize that, ooh, that was almost an amazing grenade.
Really nicely placed. Had right idea, just over the APC, but a bit too far. Skillia very fortunate to not go down. And yeah, Lonwick's trying to cover a lot of different angles. Ducks down as shots come in. And he's fortunate to have the concrete barrier there to prevent those bullets from going through the shrubs.
If they've got a good kill count here, Farah has seen the body, only Ike, sorry, has seen the body of Farah. Should know that the last player is in a position which cannot see the objective fully. As I said, that he has rotated high, which will help. But Ike should be able to get the cap here, especially with smoke cover.
Well, that's the question. Is the smoke cover going to be there? Because Lonwick's looking for this kill on Skillia, and he's found it. Unity's coordination just a bit out of sync, and as I say that, yeah, Ike swings around. If Lonwick had just taken the safe route around the back side of the house, I don't know why he committed to the front yard, but either way ends up exposing himself for a free and easy pickup. Unity bounce back, tie things up 2-2, and now we're set, James. Now we're back to the start of the series. Everything's ground floor, everything's even Steven. And now I really don't know what to expect, because I'm sure Strive are thinking, whoa, this Unity team looked a lot different those last 2 rounds. And obviously so, they're a full team now, but still, Unity really bouncing back well from what could have been some serious momentum for Strive.
Yeah, and I feel like Unity, if anything, will be kicking themselves a little bit after that round. They were very dominant. Potentially could have been a cap.
Fair.
Could have come out with a bit more awareness of kill count and a bit more smoke cover. However, yeah, overall they got the point. They're back to 2-all. They're back to the start as it was. We're all even. The Volk advantage is with Unity now. We do have an objective which is it's my favorite objective on Suburbia. I think you get a lot of variation in defense because of the quicker spawn they have. In that they spawn in the front of the house, and there's some critical lines which the offensive team needs to cross, which, you know, you need to use smoke to cover, you need to have cleared other zones first before crossing it. I feel like Strive, with their more methodical approach, could work quite well for this objective, but equally at Unity, if they box it right in really well and have those good covering lines without exposing themselves to picks early, it could easily go their way.
Yeah, you know, one thing
we have coming out,
I'm thinking about, I haven't really seen a lot of, and I think it does maybe require a little bit of extra coordination, is a heavy smoke play and push from these new teams that have been breaking up into the top 10. Seems to be a lot of nades, flash, and gun coordination, so they're all pushing their angles at the same time, very in sync, and that ends up getting them the kills because their coordination times up. They get the refrags. But I'd love to see a couple of smoke plays come through. We saw some smoke deployed, obviously, but I'm thinking, at least 4 to 5 smokes committed to an objective push. That I don't think I've seen come in from Strive yet.
Yeah, especially there's certain zones. Maybe it comes down to though you have said that there are some veterans on the team, but a lot of these newer teams, they've learned to play the game in a period where smokes were not a thing at the end of season 10. They're starting to see more smoke plays throughout the season, and I feel like more of them will integrate smoke into their tactics, but maybe it's just not quite there yet.
No, that's a great point, James. Usually we talk about it in the pre-show, but obviously Season 11 brings with it a lot of changes. And yeah, it's been a pretty long break between Season 10 and 11, and so I think a lot of players, to your point, were playing in that break, training for Season 11 without the use of smokes, not anticipating that they would be incorporated into Season 11. And so maybe we'll start to see those plays come in, but I mean, hey, it's been several weeks of, I mean, they've played plenty of games. The smoke meta still really hasn't developed for some of these players, and so I don't know. You know, it's the new era, as we've been saying, and I love to see how these teams play. And you know, the one thing that always stands out is how in sync they are. Whenever you look at that overhead, you can see it's a pretty straight line in almost every situation with Strive.
Yeah, and they're looking to clear that middle house, which is quite a common defensive setup for this objective, is to have middle house control looking back across the street. Unity have gone for more of a, our house, our castle type defense. They're not leaving the house, the grounds of the house, which can work really well. But if Strive have cottoned on that Unity did this on their last defense, they may have some really effective nades coming out. It all comes down to what they've chosen on their loadout.
Yeah, and I think that Unity defense is pretty interesting. To your point, they have that front spawn that can play it aggressive, but everyone here has tucked on to objective building and does not want to push out from the front yard of that objective building. It's a very tight defense that is vulnerable to some nades, but ultimately it's really just Skillia and Nova that can get picked off. Everyone else pretty tucked in, and Ike, as I say, that nearly goes down. Crimson on the hunt for a slice there.
Nova's position is a vulnerable one because it doesn't have that concrete barrier in front of it. So if we see any pre-fire on that location, he should go down. No. So we get down and a kill from the defense, which is certainly helped them out a lot. That down in the middle house should be revivable. However, getting to it is going to be a big ask for Crimson without any smoke cover. Saying that he just makes it through.
Yeah, he's pushed up to tank, getting ready to challenge this defense. And again, the coordination's here. They've got the Overwatch, the res comes in, and actually Strive's a little bit out of sync. Fair and Lonwick wave pushed up. They don't have Bees and Crimson on the Overwatch, but it just takes Fair and Lonwick to do the job. And as I say, that Steeliest and only Ike shut that down, and Strive a little bit out of sync there.
That was dangerous. Lonwick had a very commanding position. He just overpeaked slightly at the wrong time, especially once they got the pick on the defender who pushed out into that location. That could have gone easily the other way if because Lon was just about to get a line onto I need to learn how to say the name, Skillia and Nova, and that would have weakened the front of the house defense significantly, potentially seeing a cap. This objective should be noted that if you do get past the front of the house zone, there are a lot of places you can cap. You can go inside, you can go upstairs, you can go inside downstairs, you can go out the front of the garage, the side of the garage, the back of the garage. So the defense do not want to let them cross this front of the house zone.
Yeah, nice little double there. Does open up the on-objective defense. They do still have Skillia and Nova over in the corner, but if a couple of smokes end up shutting them out, or if Crimson draws the attention well enough, maybe Strive can sync up here on this play, and they do that well. They do sync up well, and Crimson, I like the approach here. He'll really be able to apply immediate pressure onto both Nova and Skillia the instant that the push is starting to come in, and it's really going to end up splitting the attention well from this team. Just a matter of time before the plan gets executed.
The sync is critical. Oh, and as I say that, Bizachu just needed to hold off. Yeah. That was what I was going to say. The one thing they don't want to happen is Bizachu die early. As soon as Bizachu dies, it means that they can react with two players onto Crimson King. If Crimson King was the first attacking or an in-sync attack with Bizachu, it would have meant that the reaction would have been much harder to do. So Unity, come from losing the first 2 rounds, now have won the next 3 and are up on Strive's map, which they've never lost.
Yeah, it's a solid performance from them so far. Obviously, that first round again, pretty much a 4v5, so they were at a disadvantage. And I think Strive just got overconfident with their 2-round wins. They did so well on that second round, and my point was that Unity they just had their 5th join. They were still out of sorts when those 2 rounds were lost, and so now they've really come together. And you know, that last one was very close. Strive were in a position to really attack the objective nicely, and to your point, just a solid hold from Strive to get them, from Unity, excuse me, to get them that W. And yeah, it's Unity on the offense. You have the advantage. They don't really even need to go for the cap, and so it's a really dangerous defensive time for Strive right now. Frags could be coming in here, flashes. Smokes aren't necessary. They can go for the picks. They don't need to get a cap here. So it should be a bit of an all-out brawl coming in from the likes of Unity on the attack. And I'm curious to see what Strive ends up doing. If they get aggressive, if they push up to that middle building for defense, or they end up sitting back and stacking around objective like Unity did. I anticipate a bit more aggressive push out from them. We'll see exactly what it is as we dive into round number 6.
I expect they will cross the South Street, which we didn't see occur on the Unity defense. And yeah, if you cross the South Street, getting middle house control is really good, or getting the control of the wings, lane 3 and 4, also works really well. They have pushed across with 3, 2 left on objective, quite outwardly focused. It's all going to come down to the early picks, I feel.
Certainly a culprit for an early pick there. Skillia fortunate that Crimson doesn't find those shots. The flash doesn't go all the way in, and Crimson puts out some good suppressive fire. Ends up getting Texan, and Skillia goes down to Bizachu through the window. The res can't come through. Both of these down on objective, and this is going to throw Unity's offense into a bit of a... Oh, they're going to have to readjust. Nova and Stelius were going to push in over from the west. They were going to have only Ike patiently push in from the east, and ultimately, without control of center building, everything's a bit out of whack for Unity.
The one thing... Oh. I'll finish the sentence, because I started it. The one thing which could have gone in their favor was that they could have called out Bizachu's position, because the confirm had not come out. However, it has now, and whilst the shots may have given away the approximate location, Nova and Stelius will not be aware if Bizachu does rotate out of there. It's going to be a hard one to clear out without exact location knowledge. Toxic now pushing up lane 4, looking for that flank, which we saw him do on the first defense Strive had. And let's see whether... I think on that first defense, he got 4? Yeah, he got 4 on that flank, so let's see whether he's as lethal again.
Good shots coming in there, just nearly tagging Nova. Gives away information to the likes of Bizachu. Toxic is on a bit of a aggressive swing. Strive doing this when they feel confident in their defense. Even when they're down 2-3, Toxic pushing out onto aggressive rotation. Bizachu, I'm surprised he hasn't pushed out and tried to challenge the likes of Nova and Stelius. And Stelius, maybe sensing a bit of pressure being applied from this backside, drops all the way back for the defense. One pick for Nova, and we'll see if Unity can prevent this aggressive Strive Gaming defense.
Toxic and Bizachu, if they don't know that they're friendlies, this could get interesting here. As I say that has gotten interesting. Bizachu does take out Toxic. Unfortunately for Unity, the team kill came out a second too late, with Nova going down to Toxic before it occurred.
This is really weird. Bizachu is now attacking the objective, essentially, and it's throwing off the defense. They're really out of sync. Lonwick nearly takes shots onto the back of Bizachu, but fortunate enough to have good target acquisition and doesn't take his shots on his friendly. It's up to Stelius now in a 1v2, and the res is available deep there, but it's not going to come through. They're not going to push up for it.
Yeah, getting to that res is really hard. Longwick needs to go out the front side of the house and either through the garage or through the front door. There are no entrances from the back. that would be quite a dangerous rotation to make without knowledge of where the attackers are. They should have a good kill count. I'm trying to think. They should know of 3 kills certainly. Yeah, they should know. They should have a good kill count. So they should know there's only 1 attacker remaining.
Yeah, that
Farah will have a little bit longer left on his downed before he gets out.
kind of eases the nerves a little bit. You don't have to necessarily play as panicked on objective defense. If you don't have an accurate kill count and you're 1 or 2 of the last defenders, yeah, you definitely got to have diligent visual verification that the objective is not being capped on. But to your point, if they know it's just Stelius, they can trust in 1 or 2 angles, hold those, and ultimately maybe defend. But
Bezachu's location is a good one to have, as long as he's not identified.
yeah.
I keep starting sentences and then regretting them halfway through. That location up there is a hard one to deal with, and as you can see, it ends up in the round win.
Yeah, I couldn't thread the needle through the windows onto the target. It's a bit hard when they're bouncing around in the window like that, and ultimately 3-3 comes through for Strive, all tied up. Map number 1 delivering in a lot of ways, and for those maybe just tuning in, I would say now is probably the best time to tune in. Both of these teams now, I think, are warmed up. When we go into maps 2 and 3, truly that's where the rest of this game is going to unfold. Where this map 1 goes, I don't know. I don't know what kind of team we're going to see, what kind of Unity or Strive team we're going to see on this final objective. We do switch objectives here too, so I don't know what to expect here, but for maps 2 and 3, I think it's going to be equally close. I do think we're going to have a lot of round trading in the rest of the series, and these teams both certainly geared up now, firing on all cylinders, and just a matter of who can out-execute the other.
We have had a drop from the Strive Gaming side, so maybe a couple minutes before it starts back up again. In that time, I know I've said that I think map 2 might be quarantine. Do you have any thoughts on what you think the map 2 will be?
It is going to be Unity's map pick, and how they've been doing here on Suburbia. Yeah, quarantine's certainly an option. It could be a cargo choice. I don't know if that's the right pick against Strive, but Unity is doing well here on Suburbia, which is, you know, another a close quarters map, similar in ilk to cargo, but not exactly the same, obviously. And to go to range, I feel like maybe gives Strive a like outstretched hand in some sense. You know, it's an opportunity for them to shift up the strats, try something new, and potentially beat out Unity. And so I don't know, especially with quarantine, with how these teams are playing, I don't know if you want to take a map like that really does reward good coordination. And if Strive go on to quarantine with being in sync, it's going to be tough for Unity. But both of these squads looking good here today in map 1, delivering in a lot of ways so far, James.
Oh, definitely. Some great back and forth. Coming to 3-3 on Suburbia is always good to see. Getting one of the more classic defense objectives here. It's a hard one to attack, this one. So the moment, my money's on Unity for this. But as I've said on the previous round, I think it'll come down to the first couple of picks. The reason I was thinking quarantine, though, was I feel like these teams so far, and it was apparent in their bans, they've done things based upon what they prefer rather than necessarily what the other team is suited for. And I know that Unity do like, or have played quarantine and won quarantine a bunch. So yeah, that first pick coming out from Unity, that is a critical one. If you keep getting like one pick at a time on this defense without the offense able to weaken the defense, it's a really hard one to deal with. And unfortunately for the Strive, the player had pushed up a little bit too far and a little bit out of sync, getting picked up by Skylar there. Skylar on 8 kills. That was his 8th kill of the match, top scoring. Only Ike and Toxic Boss on 7 each, which is that's some impressive numbers.
Yeah, and it was a really nice job peeking out, getting the pick, and then instantly tucking back, not overexposing. Toxic had cleared the corner once before, and when he goes around for a second time after again clearing it, Skillia decides to finally peek and find that kill. And now Strive are down to 3.
Have let a player cross lane 1. There's Only Ike watching. He was watching, but Lonwick does get the pick. However, in getting the pick, he has given away his position. Nova has rotated to cover that cross. This could still go the way of Strive Gaming. They've chosen to go lanes 1 and 2 with the remaining players, and there is some weakness there.
Yeah, this is a really nice bit of comeback. They've gotten a couple of picks. Lonwick could
Critical
have done
pick.
a lot of damage, but Texan Boys shuts that down. There's a good refrag from Crimson. Surprised Skillia hasn't peeked up and over and hunted for that, but again, great job from Strive to find the kills they need and then not over-aggress. Oftentimes, after a kill like that, a player like Crimson may continue to push forward, and that opens up the refrag, but gets the kill, tucks back in, and now Biza and Crimson are into a 2v2.
It's a really good point about the over-aggressing after a pick. If you can get a pick and not get refragged, so not get killed back, it's obviously it's much better. You know, you got one kill without dying. But it's something you see a lot in Onward is, you know, a pick getting followed by the player who got the pick getting killed immediately afterwards, because they continued with that confidence. And yeah, we've seen that a couple of times this round, and now I think back probably in the other rounds too, where Strive Gaming in particular have taken a shot, killed someone, and then taken a step back to really secure a defensive control before then moving again. Oh, Skylar doing some damage from that location. Got 3 on lane 4 so far this round.
Yeah, the flash comes in, and I'm not sure if I agree with that flash choice. If anything, I think it just gave away the positioning that he was over there on the west side. Ultimately, Skyla, I think, is what we should end up landing on for that. Ends up peeking out and getting the pick again with great timing. Just a solid job of staying disciplined and not, again, overextending there on the defense. Oftentimes players will peek up and over or hunt for kills from that position. Skyla played patiently and waited for the players to be fully extended in the open in a lot of cases before that shot's come through. And so good job there. And now a 2v1. Crimson's trying to do everything he can on this east side, prone against the Humvee.
He has 2 minutes, so he's got time. He does have time to just wait here. The defense could move out into the open. They could get a bit antsy about this objective, and one pick here would make all the difference.
Again, a couple of well-placed smokes go a long way on this objective. They really force rotations, but we didn't see a single smoke come through or a frag. Really just a couple of flashes get dispersed. Not a lot of utility getting utilized by these players here in this first map, and I wonder if that will change as we continue to develop throughout this series, but I don't know. So far, they maybe haven't needed it.
Yeah, I feel like there was an opportunity for Strive when Lonwick did get that pick onto Only Ike and did have that control of lane 1, sort of already had made it quite far north. I think there's some opportunity for a couple of other players to come and support him, give some smokes, get that cross on the lane 1. Skylar getting around with 4 kills, ending up with 11 on this map.
Jeez.
Definitely MVP of this map. Commanding performance. And yeah, Unity coming out on top on a map which Strive picked, and Strive historically they've won six times on this map, so really big upset right there.
Yeah, Unity's certainly feeling good, and you have to look at everything that's getting factored in right now. Strive on a solid win streak. If anything, I would consider them the favorite in this series. I'm not sure what the connoisseur vote was, but I think it was heavily favored on the side of Strive. And Unity, I think 6 ranks below Strive now, has a map. They've beaten Strive on their map pick. Unity now gets to choose the map. They get to go into a comfort zone for themselves they've got a lot of confidence and momentum that they can work with here, and I'm very curious where we go for map 2. The custom map pool, not completely closed off, James. We still have the likes of Shipyard as an option if we decide to head over there, but your choice for Quarantine was the guess, and
and it was denied.
and I said Cargo. All right,
You did say cargo.
I said Cargo.
Yeah, you said cargo, yeah.
And I was accurate on that prediction. They're going to take it to Cargo. Success found on Suburbia in the close quarters. They're going to try and duplicate that here on Cargo.
I think that may have been a deciding, or helped in the decision, as the win on Suburbia. But hey, maybe they do also love Cargo. It's not been back in the pool as long, so the numbers on Cargo haven't started to stack up yet.
Yeah, again, to the point, these are new teams to the league in Season 11, so we don't have a ton of stats to delve into in terms of what they can and cannot do. And with Cargo, like James said, being a map that's been incorporated in this map pool rotation, it is fresh for some of these players. Some, it's very familiar. It's a map that they've played countless times, but again, for these new players, I don't know, James, maybe they don't have necessarily the honed expertise on Cargo. Maybe there will be some gaps in defensive coverage. I don't know. I feel like the meta is pretty well established for defenses here, and so if you just follow the standard defensive styles, you won't have much trouble, but I don't think that's really the way that these new teams do it.
New objective is a bit of a wild card, in my opinion. It's not one which will be interesting to see whether we see it come out, and I think that's one objective which doesn't have an established meta for defense, but other than that, the rest do. You can look back at a lot of casts. This map is played a lot in pub lobbies, so people should be very familiar with it, and yeah, it should be a really good battle. You see some really different attacking styles in it. You see sort of the 5-man aggressive flash, smoke, frag, push through one location, or you see the really methodical people moving their line forward, just working their way slowly up the map. One thing which you see out of good aggressive and mainly offensive teams on this map is rotations. I think it's a map where you see a lot of rotations. You can win when you have one attacker against 4 defenders. You can win from there, even against 5. So it's about making sure your defense, even when that occurs, when you get lots of early picks, don't let your defense get weakened.
We're into the action. Team versus team. My co-caster slacking. We'll get that updated for you in just a moment.
Oh, team versus team. What am I doing?
The action is underway, though, and Toxic Boss pushes up early to hop up onto the defense. An aggressive defensive setup goes under the radar of the suppressive fire. And ultimately, it is the like of Texan Boy who finds the first kill onto Toxic, getting a little bit aggressive, trying to peek through that doorway. And that opens up the entryway for Unity to push forward. You can kind of see in the overhead that line starting to try and push up together as a squad. They have one way back in the coverage, just watching for the flank. The rest of the team slowly working up the control through the midfield.
So it looks like Strive have seen some casts of this. They are using positions which, such as Farah's position, which are more established meta type defense, looking underneath that doorway, and then having those crossing lines for this objective, which work quite well. The attackers need to get to the red container in order to be able to cap, so they can cap inside the red container or can cap from the north side of it. So that you can have that defense a little bit further north than the other northern objective.
The battle
smoke's
of
coming out by Nova.
the
Great
prone
pick
warriors
as
there. Bear and Texan duking it out on screen, and we'll see where the rest of this Unity offense comes through. To your point, the smokes are out, an indicator that the push should be coming in. Crimson seems to be wary of that as he extends a bit out from his corner to get a pick. And the push really not coming through. The smokes are out. Well, the smoke is out, and maybe that's why a full press isn't coming in.
having a little zoom around, having a look at the guns, because we see a FAMAS and a TAR, so a couple of bullpup type guns. I'm seeing what the other attackers are running. More traditional guns are the two AK-12s, defenders, two AK-12s and one G36, which you'll see a lot more in competition. Good to see some different guns getting used though, rather than just the standard AK-12 and G36.
Yeah, it's a lot about comfortability, and we've seen the P90 come in from these teams. We've seen the FAMAS. New weapons get brought in with the new blood, and Season 11 really just, again, delivering on the fresh aspect on all accounts. New players, new strats, new meta. It's so much fun to tune into, because I feel like every day I don't know what to anticipate. I don't know what the kind of play is going to come out, what kind of double kill is going to come through, and certainly what Unity need now if they want to make this push work.
One thing they haven't done here is anticipate well Farah's position. It is one which has been used by teams quite effectively. And saying that, two very quick picks does swing this around a lot. On the Arc has objective control. Onward does need to rotate to get back onto it. Timing of this going to be critical. Only
oh my gosh, pads out. Lonwick recognizing he has to push up, throws a nade. Ike tries to drop the pad to go for the pistol and can't get it up in time. Not getting the code there, and Lonwick with a great bit of a rotation to prevent what could have been a very dangerous start for this Unity team. 1-0 to Strive Gaming, but just barely as the final seconds of that round end up going to Unity's favor.
Wow. That was a close one. It was a brave decision by Ike there, and he knew where the last defender was. He did push for it. He did have time. Unfortunately, not quite making it sending the code. That could have been a 3-point turnaround right there. Lonwick did leave that objective open just for a few seconds, and could easily have gone the other way.
Yeah, again, a good bit of coordination from Strive as they pushed in, those kills landing well, and great job from them. Unity really looking good too on their push. I mean, in sync there on that final push in, and it's, refrag after refrag, but ultimately Unity almost came out on top on offense, almost punched in the code. And Strive just on the back foot right now, regardless of winning this first round. That was nearly a cap into their hands. That's the reason they got the round, is because Unity went for 2 points instead of 1, and I don't know if they'll be gifted another easy round per se like that one, but either way, we go into our next set, round 2, and we'll see what Unity does on defense.
Based upon their Suburbia defense, I am expecting to see something more compressed than Strive did. Strive pushed a player right up into that central zone at the start. So yeah, basing upon Suburbia, might see something more like that. Doesn't look like they were ready for Farah's position, and which is also reflected in their defense not using that location. However, they have managed to get Skylar to the barrels, which is a very powerful position if not identified. You can see right across the map from Skylar's position, and it does take a lot to clear it because you have a lot of hard cover there.
Watching the Strive offense as they set up inside the Diamond of Death and lob a significant amount of frag grenades over the hilltop here. Tons of explosives come through, and ultimately only one connects. It's not even a full kill. So the res out, and essentially all utility getting dumped out here in the first minute from both sides. Flashes, counter flashes, nades. I don't think Strive have much left other than the rifles and the coordination to try and push up on this objective.
Yeah, those grenades cost 2 points, and if you want to have body armor, you're pretty limited in terms of what other utility you can bring. Looks like, yeah, lots of players just quickly looking at their vests do not have other utility. Personally, I'd like to see the nades saved a bit longer until you've identified positions a bit more. So like, they can't clear out Skylar's position now because they don't have a grenade to do it with. If they had waited, you know, pushed up, used the grenades to really help on the attack, seems like it was too much of a precursor, disjointed from the attack, rather than being part of the attack. Big pick from Bizachu. Rotation comes out from the defense.
Yeah, finally Skyla's position pays off.
Yeah.
It took a long
And that's what I'm
time,
saying.
but yeah.
Yeah, you need to stop them. You need to stop the defensive team, or you should try to stop the defensive team from getting that barrels position if you can on attack. There are some lines you can hold, and it's something you need to try and clear when you're attacking as well, because if you leave it late in the round and you've used your utility, it's very hard to deal with. Skylar getting 2 picks across the map there, and then the final pick coming out, I believe, from Nova, to get the round for Unity. Very commanding defense. Feel like they had 4 up, just lost 1.
Yeah.
Only lost Tex and Boy on defense. Yeah. And
Well,
that might be the theme, that it was a very good compressed defense by Unity. However, it's their map pick. They do have to get an offensive round.
yeah, both teams here warmed up now. As I said early, it took them a little bit of an awkward start to the series to get here. 30 minutes for the first 2 rounds, timeouts, late start, and ultimately it does get them finally warmed up here for the final 2 maps of this series. Unity and Strive both duking it out, and like I said, I think we're probably just going to come down to a 3-3 here on Cargo. We're going to continue to trade these rounds, which have been a little tough to follow. I feel like I just don't know what the teams are going to do. I really haven't seen a full frag dump and then purely rifle push. I mean, these teams are just relying on their guns in almost every one of their offensive pushes. There's very little flashing, very little smoke coming out. It really truly is just gun battles here with Unity and Strive.
This objective in particular is one which can really benefit from a heavy smoke.
There's a lot of objectives that we've watched that could be,
Oh,
you know?
yeah, true.
There's a lot of ones that they could have, you know, Suburbia had some great opportunities for smokes. We only saw one get thrown out. You know, there's just...
Yeah. This objective is just one which is scarred into my memory. That's all, because we've seen... I've personally come against some amazing smoke attacks on this objective, and being capped on within the first 20 seconds of a round, which is always hard to deal with. Strive deciding not to cross, even though they put the smokes to cover the cross. They've decided to go with the west stack defense, and now a late cross, as I say that, coming out from Crimson King. Unity delaying their attack, not going for the full hard push through, not wanting to lose people early, it looks like, but quite well in sync across the map, getting control of that central zone. Texan and Skylar maybe a little bit more advanced than the other attackers, and pushing through within 10 meters of the objective now, 20 meters.
I mean, we do have to call it out. Plenty of utility now coming in. This flash comes through, the smoke's coming in on defense. Still nothing as they push up to objective, just looking for the angles, looking for the picks, but
that early pick from Unity onto the left side of the map will help a lot. Oh yes, seeing some smokes on the east side. Wonder if Skylar's going to go for the push through the smoke to try and get to the fuel tank. They just need one more. Skylar's used a flash, so it's got a flash and a smoke, so they've used all of their utility. It's going to come down to timing. Bizachu. Ooh.
There's Unity getting shut down by that Strive defense. A solid hold as they tried to push up. The smoke's not quite where they needed to be, and ultimately the late angles held by Strive get them into a place where then Toxic can go and do his thing. He can push out and get over aggressive. To your point, Cargo's a map that does lend itself opportunity to a 1v3 and a 1v4, and if Toxic walks into that opportunity, it may end up biting them in the back, but a 4v5, a little confidence is warranted, and ultimately the kill comes through. So Strive up 2-1. A great hold from them.
Yeah, it all came down to, as you say, it was the placement of that smoke. If that smoke had been 3 meters to the west, Skylar could have made it into that little corridor, and would have been ready to get onto objective.
Go back to this one again, and Smokes, yeah, it's an interesting style of pushing up. They're, again, just relying on the gun to do the work. They're not necessarily going in with flashes. They're not trying to displace or catch out rotations. Most of the smokes were defensive smokes. The only offensive one getting thrown out there. A flash did come in. So, again, we saw some utility. It's not like they're not getting thrown, but maybe just not being utilized to their optimal effectiveness. And it's leaving gaps in both offensive and defensive coverage that are being exploited just a bit by both teams. And so a couple of good positions and a couple of bad that ultimately have put us into this position, that where we are now at the 2-1. And I want to see what Unity do. Again, I think we're just going to keep bouncing rounds back and forth here. And so I anticipate Unity to put together a pretty good defensive round, but I don't know, maybe Strive will put their foot on the gas on this offensive round. They've been playing it a little bit passively, and anticipate maybe a bit of a quicker push forward here on this OBJ.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, based upon their previous attack, they used, what, 5 grenades with no smokes and no flashes?
Right.
So might see some of that again. Their defense, though, they used a couple of smokes for that key cross, so they're aware of that cross that the defense needs to make to get to the east. So I feel like they might post up a player or two to watch that cross to stop the defense getting over. But hopefully see more smokes, because the last attack is only Skylar who used utility. Ooh, unfortunate defensive smoke there. Would have covered the cross. Texan does make it though. Nova dying. Just
Probably
somehow.
fell through the map.
Yeah.
It's all right, though. Quick evening of the odds comes through. A 4v4 now as a pickup gets there. And, yeah, I don't think they saw the cross from Texan, so they didn't even know that he would be over there in that corner. And now he's in a great spot to defend from any attempted cross that will come through from Strive. I don't know if they're going to do that, though. They do seem to be stacked up a bit onto one side and not going to end up crossing that exposed lane precisely because it's quite exposed. It would be very dangerous for them to commit to that.
The defense is all stacked. 3 players looking across the map towards that east side. Only Stelius really focusing on the west side in a bit of an ambush spot. So Strive should have it pretty open for them to push through that center if they do choose to go center west, which it looks like they're flashing to clear now. Bit more utility coming out, smokes and flashes rather than just the frags. Skylar opting for the cross. Looks like we should have an encounter on the west side coming up between Farah and someone.
Ooh.
As I say that, the defense rotates right off, and now they've gone for an east side stack defense. Only Ike just exposing his heels a little bit too much, though, unfortunately for him.
Great refrag angle there from Skyla. Patiently waited for that push to come through. A smoke gets deployed, which does deny vision from Skyla's angle. A very nice, well-placed smoke there. Does allow Toxic and Lawnwick to take control of the diamond, but still Unity's defense not uncomfortable. They don't have to rotate or panic yet. Celia, Skyla, and Texan all have great holds on their each unique angles, and so it's going to be tough to break through if Strive do try and just push through the center. I think their best option is to dip all the way back and try and take control of the far side, and yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Lawnwick trades with Stelius. We're into the 1v2.
And that smoke, ironically, is exactly where Skylar wanted it in the previous round.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They've got good defensive positions here to hold this objective. One north side of the objective, one south side. It's going to be a big ask from Toxic. but he just needs to take it one at a time. And hope for Toxic, he wants to hope that one of the defenders gets a little bit overly peaky. It looks like they're now tucking into position though.
Yep, just onboard Toxic as he's on the hunt, trying to find out where the heck this defense is. And he's cleared a lot of positions and found nothing. And this can lead to a false sense of confidence when you go to commit to a cross and commit to a push. And these angles that Unity are holding are waiting for that false sense of confidence, waiting for him to push out into an exposed position. Skyla follows the cross into the crate, and as soon as Toxic pops out, he goes down. Another round traded to even us back up to a piece.
Yeah, he's going for those defensive holds at the moment. If it continues like this, Strive will come out on top, and so Unity need to figure out what they need to do differently to get that offensive hold. Their last north attack was almost successful, so we have another north attack. Maybe this time will pay off for them. Maybe this time they won't go for the cap, and they'll get the 1 point and then try for that defensive hold. But that almost cap will be weighing on Strive's mind. So they may do movements which they wouldn't have done normally in order to ensure that that cap doesn't come out, because this objective is a lot more exposed than the previous one. You can cap from just south of it, from just coming around the corner of this crate, this shipping container. You can, if you get to the north side, you can cap from this corner between the red cargo and these, what are they, gun boxes of some form. You can also, this is the really critical one for defense, you can actually also cap from inside this room here. And if you can get into that corner of that room and put your tablet up against the wall, you can cap from in there. So the defense cannot let the offense get across. There's essentially a line across the map which can be held really well from the barrels. There's a line across the map, you can't let the offense get across that line. And to your earlier point on utility, this is an amazing objective for smoke. The only people I hear talk about smoke right now are the defense. Talking about smoking lane 3. Hopefully the offense are also having a similar conversation.
Yeah, I think they're smoking that, to your point, James, so that they can get someone up into that barrel position uncontested. Toxic is going to go for the cross under the smokes, and as soon as that pre-fire comes in on the gap, he decides to not commit to the cross. And instead plays a bit more forward. Battles in the midfield there, resulting in 1-for-1 trade. 2-for-1, excuse me, Strive into a 3v4.
Ultimately, Unity came out on top on that. 3-man defense on this is a lot harder than a 4 or 5-man defense. They do have the lines across the map. However, those positions, if identified, can get dealt with by utility. Now, Unity should be ready for this barrel position because the smokes did give away that defender was potentially trying to cross them.
You know, you say it is difficult to defend with 3, but really, if you have Bizachu in this barrel position, it just goes such a long way. It's such a good spot to hold. Steliest was aware of it. He looked for those shots, but couldn't quite land them.
Offense is now opting for a more east side attack. Good flash coming out to delay Skelia with Skylar.
I don't know how I got Skelia. Maybe one of those L's is a capital I.
Oh, Nova. Another Unity player going down to something. 3 question mark. Death. Oh no. Hate to see it.
Yeah, not sure what the culprit is there.
Ooh, it looks like Nova has dropped out of the game, so potentially a disconnect of some form.
Tough stuff for Unity when they're looking to sync up on the push, and when they don't see anyone push in there, it's going to sort of impact how effective Skyla can be. A good bit of work there to deny vision and then flash in gets him at least control of the yellow building. Shots from Bizachu do give him information that there's one on this other side as well. Ike, fortunately enough, snaps to the angle and gets the trade, which does leave Skyla into a 1v2.
The problem is, has Skylar identified that body? Because if Skylar goes for the pick onto that location, Farah can see across the map onto him. So Skylar really needs to identify that Barrels is down and not try and go for that and go and deal with the other side of the map.
Just waiting. If he has time, 3 minutes
Crimson
left. Go ahead.
Crimson pushing up to the barrels now to ensure that they have the cross map cover. Yep, there it comes. Farah across the map onto Skylar as he pushes onto the barrels position. Yep.
Drive, take it up 3-2. Solid job from them. Puts them up at match point. I think, oh gosh, I can't remember the score. Let's go to the scoreboard. Where are we at? I remember who took the first map. It came down to 3-3. Unity came out on top,
Unity.
so Strive need to lock this one in to push it to a map 3 decider, which is exactly where they want to take it because that's their map pick. So someplace that they're comfortable, someplace they're familiar. Didn't really work out for them on Suburbia, all things considered, but either way, it's a bit of an advantage that they'll find themselves in if they can lock in this final round. It's been a trading of, so far, Volk defensive rounds, and so Strive going on offense have a bit of a task ahead of them, and I don't imagine Unity will make it easy to capture this objective. Of course, unless there is a hefty amount of smokes dumped and a push comes through. And again, I don't, maybe these new teams don't even know about that strategy. You know, maybe they haven't. It's been in past seasons, but to your point, they haven't maybe experienced the wrath of a good smoke push. But I would think that they would have gotten at least one team to do it, but yeah, both of these squads not really going for that heavy smoke application. Instead, more opting for the heavy frag. I mean, I don't think I've seen every player take a frag in a long time, or at least throw them all at the same time towards the objective. And so maybe we'll see another frag dump from the likes of Unity. Maybe Strive will put up something new here, but Strive looking at match point right now to take us to map 3.
Strive do have the accuracy on their throwing. We saw some good placement on those frags when they did throw them. So if they just switched a couple of those out for smokes, we've seen them use smokes on defense really effectively, so they're aware of lines on this map. They also had their defense set up with lines across the map, so lots of smoke coming out early. So if they can shut those lines so they can no longer look across the map for defense, it does open up the opportunities for the attack a lot more. So we've seen three smokes come out and 2 frags, with a 3rd frag coming out now. None being effective, coming out very early in the attack, maybe anticipating a pushed out defense by Unity. Unsure on that one.
Yeah, one nade went to tunnel entry, one went to right on top of Texan Boy, but wasn't quite placed close enough, so Texan able to tuck in and stay alive. The other was, yeah, to your point, maybe anticipating an aggressive push-up, which they have done in the past, so maybe reading from previous rounds, but they are now all positioned up and ready for an attack. A smoke has come in over towards the barrels, and here comes a couple of smokes tossed up over towards objective, just not at objective, actually on the opposite side.
They're all just a little bit, they're trying to shut down that, they're either a little bit far or a little bit short. Looks like they're trying to shut the barrels down and also that that warehouse near the green smoke, but it's just not quite covering those locations.
Oh, a double flash coming in from Texan.
Great defense. They have a man on objective. The cap could come out. They're not. Oh, he's flashed. That flash must have got him.
Yeah, I would think so. Otherwise, he was running right at the opponent on objective. Strive try to go for something. They try to put some kind of cap together, which is an interesting time to go for that play, considering that they have the 3-2 lead and don't need it. But either way, Unity do a good job of shutting that down, and we're going to continue to trade Volk rounds here unless Bizachu can pull off a 1v5.
It would be amazing 1v5. The defense is still really set up. They're not looking to push out or risk a player at this point. Bizachu would have to. He's got the time. He's got the time to get those picks and then rotate back, and then he doesn't have the time anymore because he's dead.
Yeah, good solid bit of back and forth that we find ourselves in here today. A 3-3 matchup for map number 2. Our second of the series, and I'm sure if you're Strive right now, you're feeling a little bit nervous. You wanted to probably lock in the match there, but the cap attempt seems a bit odd considering that they have, again, this advantage and just need to get the map win. Maybe they're on the hunt for points, and that does end up mattering at the end of the day, but we haven't even secured the win yet. I would think that would take priority. Of course, they do go on the defensive now for this next objective, and I'm curious to see where this next objective is. If I can get my
The Diamond of Death.
light of copper.
The South Central defense. A lot of quick caps come out on this one. Probably one of the hardest ones to defend. Haven't really defended the new objective much, so maybe that one comes out on top on this map. So it does play into Unity's hand a little bit more, attacking this objective. However, Strive's defense, with the more aggression they've had on defense, could play really well for this objective. If they get aggressive and get control of that central zone, it can be really hard to deal with, and you see some great aggressive defense wins for this objective.
We do, but we haven't really seen that full commitment to a smoke push yet. I suppose the closest thing we got to a smoke push was that last round, but to your point, those smokes just a bit off kilter, not exactly where they needed to be placed, and ultimately not doing the job they were intended to do. And it does come down to execution at the end of the day. What team can execute best with their smokes, with their nades, with their coordination, and right now it's really a true test for Strive. They just need to defend on this objective to push it to a map 3. Of course, we'll play that third map out, and it will be Strive's map pick regardless. But it could be the series decided for that map 3 already if Unity can come out on top here.
High pressure round indeed, both ways.
Yeah. No kidding, Unity just, I mean, and this is tough. A tough series to really battle with here. You went 3-4 in map 1 and got the win. If they lose here as Unity to go to that third map, geez, now we have to play another 7 potential rounds to try and take this, and will we get that final round even? Starts to kind of creep into the mind. It becomes a mental battle for the loser, and so a lot on the line in terms of momentum, not just the map win for both teams. We'll see if Unity can lock in the series here, or if it's going to be Strive pushing us to a map 3 decider as we get into another round 7.
Again, I think it'll come down to who gets the first couple of picks here. Ooh, Pharaoh taking a shot, getting hit on the cross, however surviving, managing to get into position, but getting identified. It looks like Unity is ready for an aggressive defense here. They've set up their own defense on attack to start with. Can work out quite well, so you don't get picked off initially, and then delay your attack and start attacking, a minute into the round onto a more established defense instead.
Yeah, very beginners-esque. Feels like in a lot of ways. Strategy I feel like I've seen from them where they sit back comfortably, time up, wait for the rotation, and then eventually, once nothing comes through, they begin to push forward, and it comes down to a patience game for the likes of Strive, which we haven't seen a ton of it. They've tended to push out and get aggressive when they have the advantage. It has worked out for them, but they're really going to have to stay disciplined here on defense, because I think Unity is going to take this clock down.
They are pushing one up through the tunnels. However, they've taken their time doing that. So Unity might get a bit complacent. May feel that they've waited long enough and start to push through just in time for when Lonwick does get a line onto them. Nova at the moment is holding it though.
Wow.
Oh, just comes off literally a second too soon. He was holding the line and then comes off it just before Lonwick peaks it.
Oh, that is tough. Exactly how Onward always works out, though. I always say it. As soon as you drop off your angle, you're dead. And Lonwick getting the nice advantage with that aggressive defense. And it's crazy that it even worked, considering Unity was waiting for this.
Yeah, I think it just played into how slowly he took it. He took it so slowly that Unity were at the point, it was a minute and a half into the round.
Yeah.
Unity were at the point where they were starting to move, starting to come off their lines, starting to think, hey, it's not coming. Ike not watching that line. Ike was on the line, let Lonwick come through that doorway. Big trade by Stelius there. 3v3 still. Defense potentially a little bit weak on the west side now. May have to rotate back. Would like to see Farah or Crimson, one of them, push up their line a little bit so that they can see across the map a bit more, because this objective is very open right now.
Got a good hold around OBJ. A nice 3-man setup. Toxic Boss maybe getting, again, a little bit too aggressive on that defensive positioning and looking for peaks, looking for picks, peeking around that cargo crate, exposing himself to what could be a potential angle here that only Ike hasn't quite taken up. Fortunately enough for Toxic, he's able to stay alive just a bit longer, and Strive will have control for now, but man, a couple of good smokes. One player dead. If Toxic goes down, Skyla and Ike have pretty good entry.
Yeah, the rotations would have to come out from the other two defenders if Toxic goes down, and Texan will be ready for that. So it all comes down to timing. It's whether Texan pushes early and gets picked by Crimson, or whether they get Toxic first, and Toxic getting one, which helps a lot. Over peaking though, Skylar doing it. Is he going to move off that? Is the defense going to move? Defense is moving. Is Texan ready for it? No, he's not. Unfortunate.
Yeah, I didn't have the angle that he needed. Crimson's going to be able to cover properly. Farrer still also has this late stage angle. Crimson does ID. Well, thinks ID is 1, but the tunnel rotation comes in. Farrer is on the hunt for Texan Boy on the other side, and Texan's tucked himself into a corner. Unity attack and win. The first round on cargo that goes to Marsoc is the series decider. Everything comes together for them, and ultimately they take the series with a second map 4-3.
Beautiful last part of their attack there. Skylar getting the final kill through the crack of the between cargo containers. Skylar getting 8 kills on this map, 11 kills on the previous one, 19 in total across 2 maps. That's a lot of kills. Yeah, that attack was just well executed. The defense having to rotate back to objective once the west side got weakened. Maybe a little bit over peaky on the defense at certain zones. Yeah, Unity definitely deserving the win there. And it'll be interesting to see what we go to as the last map, whether we see another short range or something a bit longer coming out from Strives. But
yeah, I imagine we're going to be heading to a... I wonder how custom maps work.
I think maybe Shipyard.
Yeah. I was thinking Shipyard, but I'm also thinking, how does that work with our? It should be. I have no idea, truly. But
the other reason now I might be thinking Shipyard is the lobby has just dropped out, so we may need to go join another lobby. They might be re-hosting on a custom map.
Well, yeah, this is what I'm thinking. How do the custom maps work on the old builds?
Might need to re-download
updates, or we might be doing some technical magic to get this working for the team. But either way, a great kickoff to this. Well, a great finish. Well, not finish, but a good map too from both squads. Strive and Unity duking it out with Volk rounds traded until Unity finally comes out on top. And yeah, I think Shipyard's where we're going to be headed. It was that or quarantine in my mind for Strive. I think they needed to give themselves a little bit of distance, but still work with the tight corners that they have found success in. They are still getting wins and getting rounds. And one thing I've noticed about Strive is that even in their losses, it has been close with the scoreline. They haven't necessarily been blowout losses. It's been a while since Strive has lost. I think it's now a 5-game win streak that's getting spoiled here by Unity. But either way, a great performance for both teams, and Unity's got to be feeling good because now they're the ones that are pushing up closer to that top 10. Strive had a great win against Blaze. It got them up to rank 14, but with this loss, they'll dip back down. They'll stay in the top 20 most likely, but they won't be having a chance just yet at that sweet, sweet top 10 action, which I think is really where teams start to get truly tested. Obviously, the top 20 is great back and forth. You can see the coordination and the skill set coming in from these players, but it's sometimes not enough. Shipyard is where we're headed. We're accurate on that prediction, so should be exciting to see this one shake out. And, this custom map, a new one introduced into the map pool this season and obviously in the last few weeks, and so this is really a test of a team and your strats.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of, obviously being a custom map and being a new one into the pool, it's quite interesting seeing what approaches both on attack and defense as teams choose to go with. Seeing a lot of new strategies, and it always spices it up, makes it interesting. One thing I would recommend based upon a strategy I tried last time on this map is the strategy of jumping off the boat doesn't work so well. So don't go for that one. Remember to go the correct route around containers. That is not a good one to go with. Looks like we're having everyone's coming into the lobby. They may have just had a couple of people which needed to download the map.
Yeah, I don't know how good of an indicator that is. If your team doesn't even, if everyone on your team doesn't even have the map downloaded. If anything, it should be a sign for the Strive team that Unity is not practiced on Shipyard. Again, curious to see how the third map shakes out. Maybe they'll even end up getting the point advantage at the end of the day. If they end up taking map 3 with a solid point victory, they will ultimately end up having that total scoreline above the winning team. It still gives Unity the win, but it really lessens the impact of that loss on Strive and the impact of the win from Unity. And so it's not something Unity wants, but Strive certainly on the hunt here for a solid map 3. I don't anticipate, though, they will make it an easy one for Unity, and I think that's what's going to be exciting. Both of these teams really thirsty for a third map.
Yeah, that's what teams really need to realize, that map 3 can very much lessen the blow, especially because the other maps have been so close.
Yep.
I believe that's a factor as well, as the round scoreline. And so if Strive get a good win, or even just a win on this third map, they could actually have more rounds than Unity, and that can certainly, the MMR change maybe not very much at all.
Yep, it goes into that high tier calculation and
Magic.
Yeah.
Magic.
Matchmaking.
We have had a change on the Strive Gaming side. They've got Cheddar in for Farah. Just something to note. Farah being the one running one of the bullpup maestros with the FAMAS last time. We'll see whether the Cheddar takes up that mantle.
We'll dive in. Oh, I didn't even select the map 3 yet. It is obviously Shipyard. Get that for those folks on the scoreboard. And we'll hop in to the action. Another team versus team bit of gameplay coming at you. We'll just never know who's on what side. It'll be a mystery cast for the final map.
I just don't think I'd updated it since you come in. Has it come through now?
Yes, indeed it is. Unity on defense, Strive on offense. Got our first ship objective, and we're not seeing an aggressive push out from Unity on defense. Oftentimes, teams have committed to really getting control of the stern of the ship and the bow of the ship.
Yeah, there's the two different defenses you see on this. Some teams like to control the whole ship and really push for that that west bow entrance, and other teams like to go with more of this compressed, maybe a bit more ambushy type defense where you're around the objective a lot more. Seen both defensive styles be effective. It really comes down to what's done on the offensive side.
Nova looks for first blood, but can't quite secure it. Does tag his target, so a syringe going to be utilized, but no down coming in, and Unity still up with 5. Strive still up with 5 as our first few minutes tick down. Maybe our slowest start to a round yet, because most of these rounds, these teams have had a kill pretty early on.
Yeah, Unity's still going for their more compressed defense, which we've seen on I think all of their rounds so far.
Yeah.
I think maybe the one where they got the most peak was only that first 4v5 defense. They've done this compressed defense very effectively so far. It plays quite well against Strive's attack. Strive, on the other hand, maybe we might see them go for the whole boat control because they do like to push a couple of players out. Trade coming out on the boat. Should be a revive.
Yeah, it should be. Cheddar's not going to rotate around and try and get the confirm. He's not going to push up and look for any over-aggressive angles. They're going to follow up the res with the flash out just to make sure no one's there. And one thing you should note is when Texan got the res, he resed with one hand still on his rifle, gun up, ready to shoot. Just in case someone rounded the corner, he could at least get a couple of shots off and likely trade with the opponent, but also still getting the res. So bit of a high-level tactic coming through there if you really analyze the ins and outs of the VR movements that these players are doing. You learn a thing or two on how to get a little bit of an advantage on your reses or on your corner peaks.
The attack has managed to make it around to the east here. Was that them just shooting, giving away their position though?
Yeah.
Unfortunate. If they'd managed to make it undetected around behind, that could have been quite dangerous.
Oh, and here's the
Yeah,
bit of
getting a little bit too
Yeah.
pushy, yeah.
Over-aggression coming through there from Unity this time, something that we've seen, I think, mostly from Strive, but trying to commit out there and get those picks doesn't end up paying off. A good refrag from Bizachu keeps things even as we go into a 3-3. Skylar's up next on the chopping block, though, and those bullets just barely miss. He's out of ammo.
Critical pick right there. Lonwick does take Skylar out though.
Yeah, and I was waiting for Biza to repeat, but what Biza was doing was radioing in the position to Lonwick, so Lonwick takes those shots. Now Biza's going to repeat and look for the shots onto the back of Texan, and just a great bit of trading between these two on the rooftop control.
Great coordination. Then Lonwick finishing it off. That was really, really well done. Bizachu and Lonwick working together from the too high. Wow, how did Lonwick survive that?
I don't
He just
no
jumped
idea.
off the high roof.
Just heard the sound. Oh, whoa. Oh no! The almost team kill almost leads to a double for Nova. Bizachu is trying to apply pressure off of these shots. Maybe a cap opportunity presenting itself here for Strive if Nova's not
Definitely
careful.
a cap opportunity coming out here. Is Bizachu a designated capper?
That's out.
Looks like he is. Oh. Nova actually wanted to lose that trade right there.
Yep.
Would have been better off.
Yeah, I really would have. I was we watched it in the distance, wanted to keep an eye on the pad though, just to see if the cap was gonna come through, and yeah, Nova does win that trade, but a quick punch in. Really, that was a couple of seconds. A really nice job. That ultimately leaves no room for Unity to push back and defend, and Strive have a 2-0 lead. And this is exactly what we were saying at the start of this map 3. If this ends up going with Strive heavily, it's really gonna lessen this win for Unity. It's not gonna push them up much at all in their rank, and it's going to be the best case for Strive. They'll go down to a very minuscule amount and able to still compete for that top 10 potentially in their next week of matches. And I mean, they are close. They're on the cusp. They've had a couple of tough maps where they've nearly won, but haven't. They haven't been able to really close the door on their maps. It's let Unity come back several times and take the series take both maps 4-3, but now here on Shipyard with a nice cap to kick it off, it's perfect for Strive. They have so much momentum here now that as long as they just play this conservatively and get a solid 1 point on the board here, or even keep Unity to 1 point, it'll be a net gain for them.
That's the key. Like, losing around here is not the end of the world. You've got the advantage. They started the map with the Marsoc disadvantage, as some would regard it, and now that they've got a cap, even if they lose only 1 point here, they've still got the advantage and can just continue to win their Volk rounds to win the map.
I think Toxic's going to commit to a bit more of an aggressive setup here.
Got definitely a much more aggressive setup. Crimson pushing out towards the south, Lonwick in the center pushing out, and then Toxic crossing right to the bow of the boat and going to look across back onto that red ramp.
The problem about that position is it could really be totally ineffective. Unity doesn't have to even push up on the boat until, as I say that, does look like Stelius does push in, and Toxic may have an easy
Timing here
kill.
is going to be critical. Is Toxic going to push around the corner in time? No.
Nova, though.
Wow.
Still going to have another battle on the bow. Stelius ends up getting the win. A nice pickup from Texan opens up the back west side, and this Strive Gaming defense getting picked apart a little bit. Still a 3v3 though, so the trades have been 1-for-1, and Crimson still has control here of this side of the map, but Texan and Ike are looking to challenge that.
If they haven't identified Crimson's there, then this position could be devastating for the Unity attack. And equally, if Unity decide, oh yep, we've got a pick on the boat, let's go push up the ship, then Crimson needs to rotate, and it's very hard to rotate back from there. Could see a cap going back the other way.
Oh. Yeah, I think they had maybe a little bit of a false sense of confidence in their clearing of this side. Crimson really being disciplined on the two-story and holding a very late angle. Does get another kill, but his position can be avoided. Again, there are some defensive positions that don't need to be pushed into.
That's what I'm saying. Now that Ike knows that Crimson's there, he really should go and try and support Stelius.
Yep.
It becomes a much more of a cap opportunity. Can Ike make it through this line? I'm not sure of the lines on this map yet. He has made it through, so he can push this line without exposing himself to it. Could be a good pincer onto Cheddar. If they keep awareness that that defender is in the south, focus on Cheddar, then Bizachu on objective, cap could come out definitely.
Just 3 minutes left on the clock, and if done right, it is essentially a 2v2. Cheddar is pushed into a forward position, though, and I just don't think that this will be checked. Oh, I think those crouch footsteps could be heard.
Noises, yeah. Stelius on his tablet, unsure about those noises, I feel. And Cheddar just timing yet again.
Yeah, I mean, heck, that could have been Ike. Ike could have gone up the ramp there and been committing to a push forward, and last thing you want's a team kill. Again, these players don't have all the information that we're displaying to you here, and so It's tough. You really have to be aware of your surroundings and have good comms to really know where everyone is. When you get down into these close quarters, you can't comm. Cheddar peaks just at the right time. Ike goes down, and Stride have a 3-0 lead here. They are looking real close to taking 4-0 map 3.
I was just about to say that Ike might have found a gap there. If Cheddar had not peaked there,
Yep.
Ike could have made it through, and there's so many places to cap from on that objective. If the person on objective's not rotating, you can cap under their nose. Unfortunately for Unity, unfortunately for Strive, Cheddar does peak, gets another pick, getting to that round, the last two, critical defensive position. We did see, it's good seeing the variation in styles. Strive going for a more pushed out defense there, paying off for them, and Unity going for the compressed defense, and actually the compressed defense getting capped on. Normally you'd think it'd be the other way around.
Well, compressed defense does take discipline, you know? You can't especially in that moment, to extend out and push and abandon essentially the compressed plan. Well, backfires, and so it's tough. Again, they don't have all the information we do, and it was a solid coordinated push there from Strive to get that opportunity to allow for that pad to come in, and good recognition of the teammate to pull it out to get that cap, then to get the defensive round. I mean, they're doing great here on map 3 to run away with this momentum. The attack should be a challenge. This objective, I think, easier to defend than attack, but we'll see.
This objective, I feel, is one you have to cover yourself from certain, power positions with smokes and frags and flashes when you're attacking. However, if you get past those power positions, there are lots of approaches to take, and lots of ways to surround the defenders. It's just there's a couple of critical engagement points which you need to deal with first, such as under these doors here. Often you'll see one in this more northerly spot near the bow of the boat looking across to the south. You can really bisect the map there.
Yeah, I mean, under the doors, Texan's taking up that position. He's going to be holding there. And it is effective in that it's hard to identify, but because it's hard to identify, I feel like it should be a pre-shot angle. And so you may be vulnerable to just being shot at without anyone really even knowing he's there. Which is a risk he takes by going into a position like this, but still a solid spot. To your point, hard to ID anyone who's underneath there, especially from the outside in. Already the push has come through, and Toxic is got a nice little view down into objective. Actually, I don't know if he's tall enough to peek over that.
They're quite tall. I feel like they might have been changed. They are quite tall. I can't see over them personally.
Well, it seems like Toxic and Cheddar have pushed up into their forward positions, and just comes down to waiting for the rest of the squad to get set up. The standard sort of line that they work with hasn't really been established yet. Bizachu a bit far back, maybe looking for a potential flanker rotation onto their backside, but also hunting for Skyla on the top. Crimson also looking for anything up on that roof. But everyone's tucked in. It's a good defense from Unity. Again, Unity does a good job of tucking in around objective, and they've certainly done it here.
The only thing I feel here is Skylar and Stelios are quite far out to the west here. So if Nova and Texan do get encountered and pushed through, beautiful smoke coming out. Could shut down part of Texan's vision, maybe slightly long. It's going to be hard for them to react because they're going to have to clear a lot of new zones as they come through if Nova and Texan do go down.
Yeah, smoke not quite denying Texan's visions, and Nova's here in the footsteps of Toxic and Cheddar. So very aware that someone's here, or at least one or two are here on the boat. The smoke's there, maybe cutting Nova's vision, but Oh, Cheddar's just going to go for the commitment, pushes out, finds one. Ike with a refrag. Well, not a refrag, but another kill on the opposite side. Gets a kill, evens things out 4-4. I think that flash pauses Cheddar momentarily. Bizachu with a good pickup there. Another one from Cheddar. Texan's going to look for the refrag there. He gets it. Toxic trying to pull a switcheroo of the angles and check it, that under angle from the outside. Texan not vulnerable to it just yet, but it's a 2v3 right now.
Either get in a position which they're not ready for here.
Yeah, the rooftop.
with a good call out there, where the two remaining.
Yeah, Skylar's position is going to do a lot of work when it comes down to the push. If Texan dies and Biza try and get inside, Skylar has a rooftop position through the windows. You can look right down onto those attackers. It's going to be very difficult to take him out.
You could say Skylar has a skylight.
Yeah, there are stairs available though. I didn't even know there were stairs there on the front side. Bizachu could go upstairs if he wanted to.
Holding my breath here.
Yeah. This defense is too. Takes shots into the center, doesn't find any. Skylar's going to get aggressive up on the roof, but doesn't need to as Texan finds his kill. Crimson with a quick refrag. The pad comes out, and I don't think Crimson can cap from here. I think he needs to get a bit closer. Skylar should see this, takes the shots. Unity hang on another round. Push it up 3-1.
Oh, just reading some of the chat. Sky Joker throwing a little bit of shade. Apparently I say I'm a lot. Now I'm going to be very aware of that. And there's one right there. Stop myself every time I say it.
Oh, it's fine. I've been actively stopping myself today from ultimately, so we've both been having our words of the day that we've been
Ultimately.
relying on.
I'm going to start saying that just to get in your head.
You want to flood.
Sky Joker also, we unfortunately mentioned a P90 earlier on. It does not mean that we think that the P90 is a good gun.
I think all guns are good guns, James. Okay, everything can be used.
Everything can be used, indeed.
Can be.
They all have.
Oh, it should be.
Yes, they all have pros and cons. It's just what you decide your pros and con list wants to be. What your priorities are. If your priorities are killing people, then maybe not P90.
They're shooting fast, P90.
Yeah, it's a gun which people love or love to hate.
Yep. Unity up on the offense now, and this is a tough one to attack on when you're down like this. Strive can play this one very conservatively, just like we saw Unity play it. Force Unity to push into the objective and attack and come into their kill box. It's not something that you need to extend for. It's not a map you need to look for kills. It's one you can stay tucked in and disciplined on. And ultimately, I want to see. Oh, there's the ultimately. I want to see what Strive do here to try and lock in a map in this series. They've had a tough go of securing these maps. They've pushed them to 3-3s every time and not come out on top. I don't think they want that to happen again. Maybe Unity are thinking about a cap opportunity here to try and make that happen.
This is their round to get, and it is one where, as you say, that more compressed defense can work really well. Strive have opted to push Toxic out. Toxic is very effective at that push out defense, so it'll come down to who makes more noise between Nova and Toxic right here. Toxic makes more noise, however the noise is made with his gun in killing Nova, so comes out on top and rotates back to a more compressed position. Really well done. We talked about that earlier, not over pushing, getting a pick and then just compressing back.
Now 2 dead for Unity. It's not looking good on their push here. Toxic may start to go on a bit of a hunting rampage, if you will, looking for picks, but he'll have a tough time finding them because the majority of the Unity remaining offense is underground. It's up to Steeliest and only Ike to slowly make this entry from the underground and approach in, but Crimson's very ready. C4 is placed. You can see it there on the other side of the pipe. That detonates. Ike's done for. And there's also a flashlight posted up on the corner, which does draw fire. Where's the C4 detonation?
Where is it? Come on, Crimson.
You got your
He's
indicator.
got a clacker in his hand. He's got it in his hand.
Oh, wow. That was the strat as far as I could tell. Draw out the fire. Once you hear those shots, detonate C4, get kill, but Crimson doesn't opt for it.
And for me, like, it's critical to react immediately off it, because if I was attacking there and I saw a flashlight pistol, I'd be like, where's the C4? Immediately spinning around going, oh no, I'm about to die. So it's a bit unfortunate for the defense that they didn't react more rapidly off that. Anything else happening up top? We've got Texan crawling his way up. Bizachu does have a really good line through here, so it's going to be hard for Texan to deal with this.
Yeah, now they've got to worry about Toxic Boss, who has rooftop control on the other side of Objective. It's going to be incredibly difficult to cross out to this open flooring to get to it. And since they're not opting for the tunnel approach because it was identified, they rotated back off of it. This cross is going to become very difficult.
Comes down to those early two picks. The one by Bizachu long out through the southeast, and then Toxic's push out and then compress. Texan gets picked from the top, objective roof. Lonwick able to take that position because of the early picks. And this is a big ask from the captain and Steeliest.
Toxic nearly IDs Steeliest through the roof, and I think he might commit. Yep, does commit to the shots through the glass. Now Ike left alone and maybe a bit afraid because he's heard shots just in front of him, essentially. There's a lot to worry about.
Fine, 1v5 on this objective. You're fine. Knowing there's a defender behind you. Oh. Oh no.
Yeah, like what's your decision? What decision do you make? How do you even do it? How do you commit to a forward push before you kill the defender behind you? It really is a hopeful push, I would say, to say the least. And Ike's going to put a lot of hope into this one as he does slowly cross out. It is the right way.
And does he identify Lonwick? Can he see Lonwick from that height?
No.
Not quite. But that means Lonwick cannot see him.
Toxic's getting a little bit, almost peeks out from that doorway, but decides not to. Clears out the underground now and is really looking for this final player. They've sent Toxic out. The rest of the STR1VE-GAMING defense is staying on their positions and allowing Ike to work his way up to him. Or eventually it'll be a 1v4.
C4 his teammate. Is he ready for it? Toxic surely called it out. Just got that in the back of my mind. If only Ike stays alive long enough.
I think Lonwick... Oh, I was going to say, maybe Lonwick ID'd this. Only Ike swings out, takes shots. Now he's given away. Has a tall order in front of him. Bizachu gets the trade. 4-1 for map 3 to Strive. And Strive actually taking the series in points. In total points. They still do lose, as we mentioned before. They do not secure this series win because they've lost the map total. But it'll be a less impactful map loss to them because of the rounds that they have secured. So I don't know. I don't really know what to say after this series. James, it was an interesting one.
It just came down to, it comes so often, just timing on a couple of kills, timing on a couple of peaks. Maybe something which, adjustment-wise, is the utility usage. We've talked about it a lot today on certain objectives. Definitely that utility usage. You know, people losing their players early, a little bit of over-aggression. But overall, it was a really interesting match. Quite different play styles, and a good one to watch. But Unity coming out on top.
Yep. Work to do for both teams, certainly, that they'll come back and do their research, watch over the game, and try and improve upon their strategies. It's always important to remember, James, that these are teams that are new this season. So the errors in play, or maybe the off-meta play, should be expected, frankly, from these teams, which is what we got here today. Not a lot of utility getting thrown out, but some good gun battles that ultimately go into the favor of Unity at the end of the day. STR1VE-GAMING coming out on top for map 3 and putting out a good series for us to tune into today. It took a while, slow rounds that came into some exciting finales, but a good one to tune into. I'm happy we did. Shout out to everyone that was hanging out with us for this full 2.5-hour broadcast. We appreciate you. Shout out to all of our sponsors. I'm not going to go into the deep dive now, because frankly, I think we just want to sign off here at the desk. A long day of a cast, but a great one to tune into. We appreciate everyone that has been hanging out. My name's been NightFiree with 2 E's. My co-caster, James Boak. We'll see you all this weekend with some very good venues matchups that you're not going to want to miss.